Hey everyone, this is Maregaal Ben Yaakov. Welcome to my YouTube channel, or if you're watching on Facebook, welcome to my page. And today is April 14th on a Friday, 2023, and I'm recording out of Hot Springs, Arkansas. Today I want to talk about something different. I'm just going to counter something. There's a growing belief that for some dumb reason a bunch of people are starting to believe, like it's growing fast, pretty fast anyway, that they believe that the earth is flat. And it just baffles me. Even as me, I'm like a Neanderthal type, and who's been studying the moon, because my Jewish culture and heritage, because you have to know the moon phases, pretty good to know what day of the month it is, and know when New Year comes, around the spring equinox and things like that. And by looking at sundials, you could see when eclipses might happen, to whatever, you can see the movement of the North Star just barely moving, and the Big Dipper going around, and everything seems to be rising in the east and setting in the west, except for the stars around the big North Star. They just kind of go in a small circle, and then it just gets daylight on them, and so disappear. But anyway, a lot of people are starting to believe in this flat earth nonsense. And I gotta say that most of these types of people are very, very extremely ignorant. They don't travel, or if they do, they don't travel far, and their philosophies are full of holes, or theories are full of holes, and they just don't think things through, and there's different ones out there, and some of these channels on YouTube are actually getting quite an amount of viewers, like millions of people are watching. And then there's another one that'll counter it. They got like 15 million, but some of the people who actually believe it have, like, I'm not saying subscribers. And by the way, if you don't mind, hit the subscribe button and the like button. It helps build up my channel, and I get awarded by YouTube, and it helps grow my channel as well, if I didn't say that just now. But anyway, yeah, they don't even think things through, or they think of some unique theory and stuff. They come up with goofy ideas, and a lot of these people also are into conspiracy type thinking. Oh, the government's deceiving you. Always leads to some conspiracy. And excuse my language, but it's just a bunch of malarkey, But it's just like they don't even think about the sun and facts on the ground. It's just like, okay, if the sun is heading and the world is flat, then why is there sunlight on other humans around the earth? So they come up with some goofy old idea, like if this is, the disc, it's like a round disc, there's ice around here. The sun is only so big, actually so big, but only so high up in the sky, and it's more like a spotlight. I was like, that's just totally retarded. It's just like they don't even think, where if it's round, and you're standing right here, your viewpoint is only right here, your horizon. So anything, like if you go on a boat or something far away, and you're coming up on the mountain, you're getting closer to land, I should say. And this goes for driving. You see the tops of the mountains first, is because here's the mountain there, and the tips are on your plane like that, and it goes up like this. And so when you get closer, more is revealed. And so, but if the earth is flat like this, and the sun is always shining on somebody, then you are able to see it no matter what. And the same goes like for Everest. If it's 29,000 feet up in the air, you should be able to have a super telescope and be able to see the top of Mount Everest no matter where you are on Earth, but you can't. And so, so even if you fly high, you should be able to see every place on Earth if you have a telescope that big. So because these foolish people don't think things through, it's just like the population of this belief is just growing by leaps and bounds. And I was like, dude, you guys gotta stop doing this and stop being stupid. Even in California, like if you go to California, go to Long Beach, or start off in Catalina Island, okay, which is 26 miles away. You'll see, if you're like 300 feet from the shore, you'll see the whole, you'll see the shoreline and the hills and the shops and things like that. The further away you go, the shore part disappears, and you're left with seeing just the top of the city and the mountains. And the further you go away, then it's the tips of the mountains. So from the shore of California, like Long Beach, you could see Catalina Island. You can't see the actual surf roll up because the curvature of the earth is hiding it from you, but you can see the rest of it. You see what I'm saying? So it's just kind of retarded, and it's like I said with the sun, if the sun, it's like the sun always sets. So how do you explain, if the sun is setting in my observation view, yet you call up your friend who's so far away and the sun up is over there because he's on the other side of the globe. You're here and here's your view. The sun was up here, according like just by caveman thinking, versus spinning like that. If you're here and the sun's here and then it sets, and now it's shining on Australia over here, it's how do you explain, the earth is a disc, it's not a disc, it's a ball. So it's just kind of dumb, but if it's, like I said, if it was flat, you should be able to see the sun no matter what, it just never sets. If that's the case, because there's light on humans all over the world at one time, so at some period of time in the 24 hours. So anyway, it's kind of a dumb thinking process, but I just want to throw that out there, that the earth is a ball and we spin and we go around the sun while spinning, and that's what you get your 24 hours because it spins. And then you get your seasons based on the tilting and things like that. So it's just retarded. But like I said, they throw it off on conspiracy, and some goofy old theories, but don't believe in that false hype and get a reality check. Now, if you want to claim the Bible aspect of it, throw the Bible in there, because some people think the Bible teaches the earth is flat. It does not bluntly say the earth is flat anywhere in the Bible. Nowhere. Now, someone might get that idea because Genesis is actually copying an ancient Sumerian thought process, where I wouldn't say they necessarily thought it was flat, because we can't ask them from back then, but it's like they were limited to their little world of Iraq, where ancient Sumer was, where they didn't have the means to travel. Like, they had boats, don't get me wrong, but not like go for, they could go for days and days and days, but they apparently didn't come back, and things like that, if they did, and so don't take that with a grain of salt, you know what I mean? So they thought, because in their thinking was so ancient, because when you look when you at sunrise in the morning, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. The moon does the same, and the majority of the stars do the same, except for the North Star. If you're like this, the North Star is like right here, and it just goes in a baby ball, and the Big Dipper, is doing the same, but the Big Dipper actually goes under the horizon, here in Arkansas, that is, and it goes under the horizon. So, around at sundown, soon after sundown, the Big Dipper is actually right on the edge of going down, where like in February at midnight it's directly above you. And if you live in Hot Springs, Arkansas, not 90%, I'm just saying above you that way. And so hopefully that makes all sense, but I forgot where I was going, but anyway. About, the Sumerian myth, they believed, from what we gather and what like scripture seems to like drag out, is everything rises in the east and sets in the west, and somehow miraculously it shows up 12 hours later, or depending on what season it is, but let's say it's spring and fall, 12 hours later it rises again in the east. And they're like, how's that happen? So when they look out at the sea, far away on the Mediterranean, or if you're at the Iraq, the ocean there, you look out and you can see water non-stop. There's no end to the water, but all of a sudden you see the blue sky meet, so they think it's like a big dome or something. And so they believed that there was a big water dome, and the way the Bible describes it is under the water dome, not above it, but under the water dome is, not talking about the rain clouds, something totally different, but above the water dome, is the created light. And because if you read it real closely, the created light did not touch the earth at all, because it says, regarding day 4, precisely says, I'm paraphrasing, okay? It says, let there be basically the sun and moon and the stars to give light upon the earth. Meaning that the created light didn't touch the earth. That's because the teaching is the water dome is so thick enough that the created light that's above the water dome couldn't penetrate it. And so he put luminaries in the expanse. That is the space between the so-called earth and the upper waters. Because if you remember, he says, let there be expanse dividing the water. So water above, water below, and he put the stars in that expanse. And so, anyway, that's, so you kind of got this unique teaching in Genesis, like there's some water above all the hosts of heaven. It's simply because if you look outside, it's blue. So they just apparently thought it was water way up there, way above all the stars and hosts of heaven. Now, granted, at that time, they only knew about 5 planets, counting there's seven bodies, put that way, but 5 planets. The other 2 bodies are the sun and the moon. But, so that's, the Bible is basically wrapped in ancient Sumerian belief, and plus a lot of people, they borrowed from each other, they're close by, so we don't know the true influence, because the Torah, what we have today, was written around 390 BCE. Now you'd have to look at my other videos where I show this, but to touch on it's basically timestamps. What I mean by timestamps is this: if someone gives you a book and says, this book was written in 1500, and you're like, oh cool, I want to read it and see how they talked, and all of a sudden you're reading it, blah blah blah, and it says United States of America. Well, that's a timestamp for you, because this dude is claiming it was written in the 1500s, but then I read United States of America. Well, you can't do that before 1776. You see what I'm saying? Well, the Torah, or the first 5 books, does that type of thing. Like if you look in Genesis 36, it says, these are the kings and rulers of Edom before there were any kings of Israel. Well, you can't say that. Or like the Ark of Noah came to rest on one of the mountains of, in Hebrew it's like A-R-R-T, like that. But the A nowadays is silent, it could have been silent back then. But they did actually speak it back then, the Aleph. But it's referring to a kingdom called Urartu. It has the exact same vowels. And vowels and consonants, I should say letters. And but this kingdom lasted, or only existed from like 860 to 590 BCE, so definitely wasn't written by Moses, and it fits more the Persian time frame. And so then you have like situations like, I believe it's in the book of Numbers, talk about Og, king of Bashan. He said he had a bed of iron, and it was 9 cubits tall or something, or 9 cubits long or something. So that'd be like 13.5 feet or something. And so, but it says it was made out of iron. Well, hello, the Iron Age didn't exist yet. So there's things like that. Or like Abraham sent his servant with camels to go find a wife for Isaac. Well, camels weren't domesticated yet in that area. So there's things like that in the Bible, especially like I said in like Genesis 36, talking about the kings of Israel. Well, you don't have kings of Israel, and in the law itself, you're not even supposed to even have a king. And that's one of the laws you find in Deuteronomy 18 or 17. And it says this is the type of king you will get, and it goes into he must not get too much gold, wives, and things like that. Well, that's anti-Solomon. And so that tells you it was written after Solomon because they're anti-Solomon, where if you go to the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel, when the people asked for the king, the Lord and Samuel were very upset, because they rejected El as their king. And yet here you read in Deuteronomy, to pick a king out. So I was like, well, how can you be so mad in Samuel when you gave a law about a king? So you see what I'm saying? There's contradictions there. And but the biggest contradiction with the timestamp is Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, which is like on the 10th day of the 7th month of the Jewish calendar. See it in 3 places. It's, Leviticus 16, Leviticus 23, and Numbers 29. Okay? But if you go to like Nehemiah 8 and chapter 9, they didn't even know of its existence. And so you see them getting all worried about the tabernacle feast that came on the 15th. And they celebrate for 7 days, and the 8th day is a special rest day. Okay? But what you see is right after they celebrated the Feast of Tabernacles, they started fasting and doing sackcloth, putting on ashes, just like a Yom Kippur deal, but it was on the 24th, meaning it didn't exist yet. So this, what you see in those 3 places in the Torah, that came later after Nehemiah. So those are timestamps. So it kind of tells you all this was written after the Persian time and our influence of Iraq. Our ancient Sumer, used to be Sumer, then it's Babylon, and now Persia. So we getting their ideas. So we don't know our authentic way of thinking because we borrowed it. And just like like Noah's Utnapishtim, or however you say this long name, and we borrowed all these stories and regurgitated and gave them Jewish names. So it's not authentic to our culture. We even adopted their months instead of, like you see in Exodus 12:2, the month of Aviv shall be the first and beginning of the months of the year for you. You see later on the month of Nisan, which is a Babylonian name, and they use Babylonian names to this day in mainstream Judaism. So it's not kosher to borrow. You know, it's just like, if you are a holy people, then why are you borrowing pagan things? You know, so you cut that out. Anyway, back to what I was saying. We get this dome thinking, like what's in our book, from ancient Sumer. Now, whether we believe that or not, I don't know, because our stuff is lost, and just lost in time. So I just don't know. But it's in the Bible that we hold so dear, even though it's false. So what else I wanted to say? Yeah, I think that's about it. I mean, you got problems with the sun. And, like I said, if the sun is like spotlight, because there's some theories out there, the sun is like a spotlight moving on different cultures, blah, blah, blah. But, if the earth is totally flat and you had a super telescope, you should be able to see Mount Everest. You should be able to see the sun 24 hours, period. And because it never goes down. So, it just moves around. So, and it ruins, the truth is also like on reality, like I said, if this is your view site, just the horizon, you're just a little dot on this little ball here, this is all your viewpoint. If the mountains of like Hawaii, some of the tallest mountains around, is down here below your horizon, you won't see it until you change your spot. And so it just makes no sense. So I mean, it's just, and the thing is, these people don't get out much. It's like they don't look at stuff. Another thing is eclipses. Not the solar eclipse, but the lunar eclipse. What's going on with the lunar eclipse, the show it is the earth is a ball, is because if this is the moon, the earth's shadow will be like, it starts out like a big old cookie monster just ate a circle out of it, and the circle grows like that until the moon is totally covered. And so it shows you it is a circle ball. And likewise, there's another thing. Venus has phases as well, like the moon does. Venus and Mercury have phases. Another thing is the sun is a spinning sphere as well. So they just don't even know astronomy, where you could just go get a telescope, or you go to a sun observatory, like they have one in Big Bear, or at least they used to when I lived up there, Big Bear, California. They had a sun observatory. Anyway, they've been in Sky and Telescope magazine a few times, and they show how the sun spins, and so it's interesting. So, and also Venus spins, and same with Mercury, and also us. But so anyway, blah blah blah. So it tells you, if you see the sun spinning, it's a ball, because you can see all sides of it, and just so you only see one side of the moon, because how it rotates at a certain speed as the earth rotates. So it's kind of interesting. So anyway, that's my deal. Hit that subscribe button, like button. Anyway, I probably rambled, but anyway, I know I did, but hopefully you get through it. But don't believe in this falsehood, and because these people don't get out much, and they're just, well, frankly, kind of idiots. But all right, talk to you guys later.